Hi, I'm Dave Bennett, and today for a few minutes I'd like to introduce a new concept in improving your communication. It's called common ground communication. I've been teaching communication in corporate and university settings for over 20 years, but I was always unhappy with the material I had to choose from in order to help people communicate more effectively. I think I did some good during all those years, but I wanted something more concise, something that people could get their hands around and apply immediately to their unique communication situations. What was available was, for example, long lists of communication skills, 10 or 15 skills, but they didn't tell you how to use them or in what situations. In other words, there wasn't much application information. And almost without exception, they all wanted you to reinvent your communication. In other words, basically they throw out all the communication that you developed over many years of living and start over with their list. That wasn't good enough for me. I was looking for something more. What my new approach, what I was looking for, in other words, was not a process, because there's plenty of those out there, as much as individual actions that a communicator could use flexibly in every conversation to really connect with that other person throughout the conversation. Utilize your existing skills, don't throw those out, keep doing what you're doing well. That only makes sense. And third, what I was looking for in this new approach was to use the communication skills in every conversation, not just let them happen by chance, but deliberately make a conscious effort to use these skills to help you communicate with every person in your life with whom you have interactions. And so the common ground communication style was the result of my efforts and my rethinking the existing communication. It has 3 actions: listen energetically, target your speaking, and establish a common ground connection. Those are the 3 actions. They're a little bit different than just listening, speaking, and creating common ground. But it is my belief and my experience, as I've rolled this out, as I've worked with various groups using this methodology, that emphasizing these 3 skill sets will improve your communication more than anything else you can do. It's not that you don't use your other communication skills, but you emphasize these 3 because they will give you the best chance of success. They're manageable to me, they're doable. You can get your hands around them. And I know if I focus on these, they give me the most bang for my buck. Now let me detail each one of the actions just briefly. I think you'll get an idea how this all fits together. And then we'll talk how you can apply this. Listen energetically primarily means focus on the other person. Now, many research studies will indicate we're not very good listeners sometimes, maybe only 25% efficiency. We need to increase that percentage. So we need to consciously and almost continually focus on that other person. There's a tendency we all had to focus on ourselves and what we're going to say next. We need to focus on the other person if we're really going to achieve a common ground connection. And so when I use these skills, we do exercises and we do application things in their work settings, and I teach, for example, these 3 skills. I explained about paraphrasing. We all paraphrase, but we can all do it more, because paraphrasing really lets the other person know you're listening to them. I talk about nonverbal behaviors. Be attuned to those. Up to 90% of the meaning in conversation is carried nonverbally. And yet we often ignore those or don't pay enough attention to them because we're so focused on what people say, the verbal channel, and we're missing out on a lot that's communicated through nonverbal communication. And the third skill I teach, among others, is empathy. Now, we've all demonstrated empathy for other people, particularly family members. We care about them, but it's important with every person with whom you interact to show that you care for them and try to put yourself in their position. Empathy is so important in listening. To me, if you don't have at least a minimum of empathy for someone, you're not really going to be able to listen to them. The next skill, the second one, and these are not necessarily in order because this isn't a process, as I mentioned, is to target your speaking. Now, the most important thing with target your speaking is to help the other person understand you. And sometimes we forget that. We speak, we contribute to the conversation, but we're not really sure completely whether that person is understanding. We need to make sure that they understand by continuing to interact with them, giving and receiving feedback, so that the person has a better than average chance of understanding. You want to be understood. Everybody does. And when I work with clients on targeted speaking, I use these three skills. I talk about speaking with clarity. What does it really mean when you speak with clarity, when you speak clearly? Obviously it means so the other person can understand you, but there's more to it than that, and we talk about that. Tailor your message. That would be another skill. How do I best tailor my message so that this particular person, who is unique from all the other people I communicate, will understand? And I actively acknowledge the speaker and what they say. So this is two parts, what I'm saying. When you're interacting with somebody, I actively acknowledge not only what the person says, but them as a person. So they felt good as a person, that I respect them, and that I listen to them and care about communicating effectively with them. The final action is create a common ground connection. Now there are two parts to this: common ground and connection. Now we all have established common ground. We do this particularly with new people we meet. What do you do when you first meet somebody? You try to figure out, well, where do you work? Are you married? Do you have pets? And that sort of thing. You're trying to establish some things you have in common because it makes it easier to communicate. The more common ground you have, the more you have to talk about. If you have absolutely nothing in common with someone, it's very difficult to communicate with them, right? The other part of this is connection. Now, how many times have you been in a conversation and boy, it was really felt good. You could almost finish each other's sentences and there weren't any conflicts or misunderstandings. It was almost like two people were communicating as one. It's a great feeling when it happens. And usually it happens by chance. What the common ground communication style proposes that you do is that you use this all the time, and you make a deliberate effort to use this in every conversation. So the question is, if connection and targeting your speaking and energetic listening feels so good when you communicate, why not use them all the time? Because your goal to me in communication is connection. When you connect with that other person, you are really communicating effectively. And boy, it feels good. Because all of you have had that situation, and it just, you're on the same wavelength, you feel good, you're communicating, it's rewarding for everybody involved. Well, the question is, and this is a brief overview of what this is, but how do I initially start using these three skills? Let's say I want to use the common ground communication style in my communication? How do I start that? Because application is really important, helping people understand how they can apply the skills to their unique communication situations. Because everybody's a little bit unique. I need to help them to apply these and make sure that when they come into obstacles, they know how to overcome those. So what I recommend and what I found that other people, when I tell them this, have tried and with success is keep the 3 actions in the forefront of your mind when you're about ready to have a conversation. And use them as needed in the conversation, as you need them, flexibly, in real time, so that you're using the skills, one of the 3 skills, as needed to really understand the other person and have you understood as well. If you practice these skills and practice integrating them, it's not that you don't use the other communication skills, but your focus is on these 3 skills. That will give you the best chance of success. But remember, with this style, there is some change involved, but I think you'll gain initial success, and that will spur you on and motivate you to continue to try to develop your skills. Remember, you're not listening, you're energetic listening. You're not just speaking, you're targeting your speaking. And you're not, by chance, establishing common ground. You're making a deliberate effort in every conversation to establish common ground and thus connection. A really good feeling. I think it's important that people examine their communication behavior from time to time. We all develop ways of communicating, and it's important to look at those sometimes and see if they're still working. We need to be aware of our skills. Communication, to me, is the very essence of who we are. It creates our relationships. It creates the people we know. We develop opinions about them. People develop opinions of ourselves. And if we could just improve our communication just a little bit, we'd make a tremendous difference in our lives. And I think that's what common ground communication and the common ground communication style will do for you. I would love to work with you or your company or your school. You can email me at davidwbennett24@gmail.com or call me on my cell phone 949-235-8571. You can also purchase my book, which has a lot of details on the common ground communication style. Connect and Succeed, a communication style to engage and motivate your employees. And pick that up. It'll give you some good ideas, and particularly has a lot of application things and some case studies and so forth and so on. I also have a website, www.common-ground-communication.com, and I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I hope you can take some of these concepts that I presented today. I hope they will help you to improve your communication and thus really make a difference in your lives. Thank you.